Good morning and welcome back to the Faith and Formation Podcast. It is Tuesday, January 13th, and I want to express a special thanks to all of you that are joining us here this morning, listening to our daily devotional podcast. It's Tuesday. I hope that your Monday went well, you kicked off the week well, and we're here on Tuesday, continuing right on through, and I hope that you do have a great day today. Well, we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 5 today. We're going to talk about a devotional entitled A Corinthian Mistake. Before we get to that, let's go ahead and look at our memory verse for this morning. Our memory verse comes from John 3 and verse 18. It says, "He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God." John 3 and verse 18. All right, a Corinthian mistake. That's the title of our devotional this morning, and it comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1. Hopefully you've already read the chapter, you've gone through, used the little devotional booklet if you're one of our teens, and read through the chapter. And now you're here. We're going to talk about a specific part of this chapter that hopefully can be a good reminder and a good help to us today. It says there in verse 1, "It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles." Reading through this chapter, I was thinking about all the different topics that preachers and pastors talk about. And there's a lot of them. There's a whole lot of them. Throughout the Bible, you're going to find every topic you can think of, really. And everyone that's needed in life, the ones that we need to operate well as a Christian, as a person, all those can be found in the scriptures. And we talk about a lot of different of those. And one of the topics that doesn't get talked about as much, but that we know and understand that is wrong because it tells us so in the scriptures, is this idea of fornication, as is mentioned in this chapter. And it's a bit of an uncomfortable topic. Yeah, sure it is. But one that we need to hear about every so often and be reminded about, because it is in the scriptures and it means something to the Lord, and it means something in your life as well. And that's this. See, Paul writing this chapter is addressing a mistake, a problem that he's seeing in the Corinthian church. Now, this is him writing a letter to the church, as he did with several other churches, and he's trying to help them to establish principles in their church as New Testament churches, to be ones that God is pleased with and happy with, and that they carry about the tasks and life of a Christian well. That's what he's concerned with. And that's what he talks about here in this chapter and in the entire book. But specifically here with this verse and several verses in the chapter, he's talking about this fornication. And we know what this is, right? It's an improper physical relationship between a man and a woman, or unfortunately, in our day and age, between any gender and the same gender or other gender, and any kind of that relationship, this relationship that's outside of marriage. And that's what we understand as the definition for this fornication, really. Now, it can get more specific than that, but essentially that's what it boils down to. And we have to be careful. This is declared sin and seen as wrong all throughout the scriptures. And we see it right here. And if you read down through the chapter, you'll see that Paul condemns this over and over and over again. And it's something that's wrong. It should not be a part of our lives. There should be no part of it, especially as Christians. We should have no part of this. And unfortunately, the world that we live in promotes this. And all throughout history, it's been a problem. It promotes this as this pinnacle of happiness and joy and love. That's what it's promoted as in the world, when really it's not. It's really not at all. Does it have its proper place in marriage? Absolutely, it does. That is the way that God designed and ordained it. But we as humans can twist that and turn it into something ungodly and sinful. We must be careful and guard ourselves against that. There are principles that we put into our lives, that we should have in our lives, that help us to stay away from this. Especially in a world where everybody records everything, accusations are made all the time about certain things. We have to be so very, very careful as Christians, that we have standards in our lives that are going to protect us, protect other people, going to protect us from sin primarily, but also going to protect our testimony with other people. We want to make sure that we have those standards in our lives that are going to help us. A good standard, an example of that would be um, you deciding that you're never going to be alone in a place with someone of the other gender. It's just not going to be a thing that you do. That's a good standard to have in your Christian life. The Bible tells us that it is good for a man not to touch a woman. And that's a perfect standard to have in our lives and to apply so that we can continue on with a clean testimony, a clean heart, and knowing that we're doing what we should as Christians. Again, not the most comfortable topic, but one that we need to talk about in here because it is a problem. It is a problem. And a lot of people struggle with this. And we have to understand that God sees it as sin, and it is wrong. And here Paul's addressing this with the Corinthian church, and it's left in the Bible for us to understand this. This relationship that we're talking about is something that's reserved for marriage and something that is good in there and ordained of the Lord. But as soon as we twist it and turn it into something else, it becomes an issue, a problem, and it becomes sin. So you have to be careful. So the challenge today is to make sure, check up on ourselves a little bit and make sure we have those standards and things in place so that we don't enter into any kind of scenario in which this would be a problem. We stave it away and we keep it away from us. So we save ourselves from sin and also save our testimony, keep that clean for other people as well. All right, well, that's our lesson from this morning in 1 Corinthians chapter 5. Hopefully it was a blessing and a good reminder for you. As we go to prayer this morning, and I hope that you will have some time set aside for prayer, we're going to spend some extra time praying for our missionaries today, those that your church supports. Here at Temple, we offer a bunch of missions cards that you can grab a hold of, and you can pray through those and pray for all the specific needs that our missionaries have. And I know they appreciate it, and it's good for us to do to assist them in that way while they're out on the field. And then for our teenagers specifically, we want to pray for Fernando as well. Lift him up this morning. All right, thanks again for joining us here, the Faith and Formation podcast. Hopefully this devotional has been a blessing and a help to you. And thanks again for joining, and we'll see you next time.